Good evening, Namaste and Pranam. Welcome to the third episode of Ek Kahani Meri Zubani. I'm very happy the way you guys are viewing my stories. I would also request if you can just put in some comments or any sort of, feedback if you want to give the way I narrate the story and any good stories, you would want me to, touch or any topic per se. And please do share and subscribe my channel because I'm definitely going to improve myself if you comment and you give your feedbacks, and I'll keep coming with different stories with a different approach also towards it. So this is the third story which I have come now today. This story is written by a very famous writer of 18th century. Her name was Charlotte Perkins Gilman. She was born in 1860 and she died in 1935. And she was a socialist feminist. And she was an author, she was a writer, she was a publisher, and she wrote a very famous story by the name of Yellow Wallpaper. Now, this yellow wallpaper, it's a very interesting story of a woman who was suffering from a postpartum depression. Postpartum, as everybody knows, I'm sure any viewers who are male or a female, it happens to a woman, after the pregnancy, after the childbirth, and it starts happening within, the first or the third week of pregnancy once she has delivered the child, and it is very prevalent. I had even taken out the data also. According to available data, approximately 10% of women globally, they experience postpartum depression after giving childbirth. So it's not a minor issue, it's a major issue. And it's been happening and it is been prevalent. And this writer in 18th century, she herself experienced this when she gave birth to her daughter, and she experienced the postpartum depression. She married twice, so it is the story is basically a semi autobiographical as per her, and it is a very interesting story. So let's start, without wasting any time. Ek Kahani Meri Zubani, Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Now, the story starts with the three main characters. One is John, the husband of the narrator. Jane is the narrator, and Jenny is the sister in law. And there's a nanny by the name of Mary who's taking care of the baby. Now, Jane, after giving childbirth, her husband, John, who was a physician himself, advised, to have rest cure. Now, this rest cure is basically you're resting without any activity. And this was very prevalent during those times. And since all these, male dominant people in the medical industry, they felt that women after giving childbirth, they suffered with some sort of depression, and they thought it will impact the child and of course their mental health as well. So they were kind of confined to a one place. So basically, Jane was sent to her country estate, which was owned by her husband, and she was not allowed to, do any sort of wife duties or any mother duties. And the baby was taken care by John's sister Jane. No, sorry, Jenny. And Jenny was very excited to take up this role, but at the same time, she was very worried about her, health of sister-in-law, because she had already started showing the signs of postpartum depression. Now, the thing is, the story actually revolves around the mental state of a woman, after she delivers the child. Now, we are talking about the 18th century. And as we progress, I will definitely tell you that what was the difference then and what is the difference now. Now, when Jane was confined to the country estate, she was given a room which was like on the top of the estate, and it was just like an attic, you know, and it was a very dingy sort of a room which has a yellow wallpaper, which is hero of this story. And this yellow wallpaper was, very fading. The color was fading, the color yellow was fading. It was torn from the corner, the pieces and everything. And Jane always every day used to observe that, because she was not allowed to do anything, you know she was not even allowed to put down her thoughts also on a pen and paper, thinking, that every day at least she can pass her time doing something. So her basic, necessity of even putting down or venting out the thoughts was also taken away from her. So her focus was only that yellow wallpaper, and she was only focusing on that yellow wallpaper. Now that yellow wallpaper, as the light keeps coming in the room, and the lights, the sunlight I'm talking about, and as the day goes by, the lightning happening, she used to see that the color of the paper was also changing. Now this was a mental state, please understand, because she had nothing else to do. And the irony of this is that she was sent to cure her mental state, but she was confined in one room, which was which is a torture, and it was very prevalent in 18th century, and it was happening all across. And her husband, ironically, who's a physician, you know was agreeing to all this, and he felt this was the best cure. The rest cure was the best cure. And the story is goes like this, that days passes by, and she's nowhere, like connected to the outside world. She's just focused on that yellow wallpaper. So you can understand the plight of a woman, or anybody for that matter. If somebody is confined to one room, what that person is going to do, because that person doesn't have any source of entertainment such. And this, we're talking about the 18th century. So what happens is, this woman, she starts imagining that this yellow paper, there's a woman who's trapped in this paper, and she needs to be freed. Now you can understand the psyche of Jane, because Jane herself found herself to be trapped in that attic. And that yellow paper, it became just sort of a companion of hers. And she felt that somebody was already trapped, and it gave her some meaning that if she frees that woman from that yellow wallpaper, she's going to free her and herself as well. So one fine day when John comes, he starts knocking at the door. She refuses to open. She doesn't unlock the door. And John could hear that something was happening inside, but he didn't know what to do. He goes, gets the key, tries to open, and the moment he opens, he faints, because what he sees was a really a freaky scene. He sees that Jane had actually torn down the wallpaper completely, was crawling, on that wallpaper, and she was like kind of grinning, behind her shoulder. So that sight itself psyched John. And the moment she sees John, is unconscious on the floor, she stepped over him, saying that finally, I've freed her, I've freed myself, and now I can live. Now, this is a very short story, but it has got an intense meaning. I didn't wanted to go into the detail of, day by day what was happening, since, it is a short story which I'm trying to narrate. The irony of the story is that John, who is supposed to be, patriarchal society, and the men supposed to be strong, and, kind of taking care of their women and their family, he himself could not stand the plight of his wife, which shows his weakness and not her weakness. And just getting unconscious clearly shows that he was too weak in his heart. And imagine that woman who was taken away from her baby, who was taken away from her house, and was confined to an attic, was still struggling hard, to fight everything every day. So this story itself it has got a symbolic meaning. It actually highlights the uh, suppressive treatment of women, during 19th century. The action of Jane husband and the doctor, it actually led her to lose her sanity. So this story itself, kind of states that don't leave the women alone. She needs some sort of support, and rather than ignoring her needs, rather than ignoring her symptoms. And in today's world also, we are in 21st century, and today's world also, we'll see even in a modern household, or any class for that matter, the women, she's expected to take care of things, as soon as she's, given birth to a child. Maybe not to somebody who's got all the comfort and everything, but that, mentality somewhere down the line in the middle class, or maybe little lower than the middle class, and still the same, that she is supposed to take care of everything, but her needs are totally ignored. They say, oh, she just given, birth to a child, it's okay. Like, they don't give that importance. They don't understand that women, she has given birth to a human. She needs some sort of TLC, tender love and care, and it is very important. And though the story is from the 18th century, but in today's date, yes, things have changed. Yes, women have become very modern. We have nannies, we have the comfort and everything. But there are certain, household where they can't afford nannies, or, whatever. And the women, she might be working, in the house, or she might be a working woman, but she has to go through this. But her symptoms are ignored. It is not taken care of. I will not say all of them, but yes, to some extent. So, the moral of the story is that, please, if there is any lady, whether it's your daughter, your wife, your sister, who has given birth recently to a baby, please be a little kind of patient towards her, be a little caring towards her. I'm not saying that you guys must be not doing it, but as I rightly put across earlier, that there is something happening definitely in certain households. And I have also witnessed that there is some sort of comfort which needs to be given to a lady, because ultimately, she's the woman of the house. And as, without sounding, any feminist or something like that, because, in a country where we uh, worship, you know Durga Devi, Kali Ma, if we kind of take care of the lady of our house also, it is going to do really, really good, and it's going to be better for the society. So, thank you so much for your patience. Please do like and subscribe my channel. And if there's any feedback, I will graciously, graciously accept. Thank you so much.